Hey guys, I have a couple new custom knives that I want to show you tonight. Last Thursday, I took delivery of these two knives from South Africa. We have the Scout and we have the Barlow. The Scout is a smaller version of Jason Guthrie's Ranger folder, and the Barlow is Jason's take on a locking traditional knife. But before we get too deep into these, let's talk a little bit about the maker himself. Jason has been making knives since 2014 out of Johannesburg, South Africa. Before that, he spent his time at his family-owned gun range as a firearms instructor and gunsmith, which I think contributed to his knowledge of machining. His interest in knives started at an early age, and being an avid outdoorsman, he carried a knife with him everywhere he went. But it wasn't until he sat down to make his own that he discovered a new passion. Jason Guthrie Custom Knives focuses on two things primarily. First, making a functional and practical tool that will serve you in your everyday life. And secondly, improving upon existing knife technologies as a whole. But now let's talk about the knives. First of all, some specifications. This is the Scout, and what we have here is a 3-inch blade with a 7.5-inch overall length, a weight of 2.4 ounces, which is crazy, and a blade steel of M390. Next to that, we have the Barlow, and this is a 3-inch blade as well, with a 7.25-inch overall and a weight of 2 ounces. And the blade steel on this one is a really nicely heat-treated D2. So first, let's talk about the Scout. The Scout is the 3-inch version of Jason's Ranger folder. Normally they come closer to 4 inches, but he recently designed this one as a 3-inch, slightly more EDC-friendly version. This was designed to be a sort of classical tactical with really clean lines, but very functional design all the way around. The handle is made practically, the blade is made practically, so on and so forth. Before we get too far into it, let's talk about the elephant in the room. This is a nested liner lock design. So basically what that means is there are no metal or titanium really scales on the inside. The only piece of titanium in here is this nested liner lock that's bolted in. A couple other makers out there that have done this, McGinnis, Laconico, stuff like that. It's really, really cool, and it's a great way to save on weight. So, yeah, but overall, that's what makes this knife 2.4 ounces. As soon as you were to add liners and stuff in here, it would start picking up some bulk. So, the blade is a nearly zero flat ground 3-inch blade of M390 steel. M390 is really interesting to me. It's an Udelholm steel, and this is the first knife that I've ever had in it. It's also, from what I can tell, one of the few custom knives that is available in this particular steel. I guess it's kind of hard to get. And from what I can tell, it is the best of both worlds in terms of corrosion resistance and toughness or edge retention. Its common working hardness is about 62 HRC. The edge retention is apparently some of the best out there. However, strangely enough, it's really easy to maintain. According to my research, it shouldn't form stubborn burrs or wire edges, and regular stropping should be all that it takes to keep this thing as a complete laser beam. The geometry of the grind is really exceptional. When I say nearly zero ground, you can see the final edge bevel is really fine, really thin. He grinds this thing so thin before putting the final edge on it. I'm trying to see if I can, if you look up where it contrasts my finger, you can see how thin it comes down to. So this thing's gonna cut like crazy. The handles and ergonomics on it, the handle of the Scout is really a work of art. You can tell that Jason put a lot of time and a lot of R&D into thinking how he wanted this knife to feel in your hand. The jimping here is sharp and effective, but you can see that it's kind of recessed into the handle. It's just functional enough without being too abrasive on your thumb. And ergonomically, the deployment on this knife is just a treat. He has tuned the pivot and the bearing system, or not, it's not bearings, I'm sorry, it's nylitron washers, but he has tuned this just right. So it's just a stiff push to break the detent, and it flips right out. The thumb relief here is cut at exactly the right angle for deployment. All in all, it just has really been thought out in how you're going to use and handle this knife. I could go on and on about this thing. I'm really, really pleased with it, but it's just great. So you can see the Mokutai or Timascus clip there. Great centering and lockup. Just a really, really nice action. So, but let's talk about the Barlow now. The Barlow, let me get my notes here. The Barlow is Jason's take on a locking slip joint. It's also a nested liner lock, as you can see, with no clip. And it weighs in at 2 ounces. That is thanks to that nested liner lock. It even has the Damascus steel bolster there, and it is a cool 2 ounces. There are a few other knife makers out there right now that are making these locking slip joint style knives, but this is one of the nicest that I've handled so far. The blade is a 3-inch clip point blade made of D2 steel, and I've talked about it before. I love D2. When it's properly heat treated, it really, really stands out. Not everybody likes it. I think it's because it's not modern and it's not sexy, but it is nearly stainless with great edge holding and good toughness. It's really a great stuff. The handles on the Barlow are pretty simplistic. You can see they're just kind of a coffin style handle, but in terms of, just being a gentleman's folder, it's going to fit in your hand really nicely. The jimping on it here is nice and effective, just like on the Scout, and that's also the method for opening. This is a traditional South African lip style opener. There are a couple of ways that you can do it. You can just pivot it around with the thumb all the way, or you can start it and then flip it, or I've even seen some people flip it like that. It takes a little bit of practice. It's a little bit of a new method, but just like on my Gareth Bull, once you get it down, it really is a nice way of opening this knife. So, overall impressions between these two. They're really, really nice, and I'm really, really happy with them. They, the detail work is spot on, the actions are flawless, and ergonomically, in particular the Scout, but both of them are just really, really great works of art. I would honestly put the Scout on par with my Crine Alpha, which, as you guys probably know, is one of my all-time favorite knives. And I would compare those two in terms of detail and design. The Barlow here is a really amazing gentleman's carry knife. Pair it with a nice leather pocket slip and you would be golden. So, if you get the opportunity to pick up a Guthrie knife, I strongly recommend that you do it. There are a few for sale on the Cove right now on the USN as of the making of this video. That obviously won't apply to most people watching it, but if you catch it in the next couple days, they may still be up there. And rumor has it that Jason will be opening his books around the end of the year. So if you follow him on Instagram, you'll probably get a chance to see something about that. So that's it. This is just kind of a brief overview of these two knives. They are really, really nice. Down in the description, there is a link to Blade HQ. Anything that you purchase through that link will help support this channel. Strongly recommend that you guys jump over there, check it out. They have a huge offering of everything and anything that you could want. And when you grab something using my link, you just help me to bring you more content like this. Looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say in the comments. I'll put links to Jason's stuff in the description as well, so you can go check out his work. And I think that's it, guys. Thanks a lot. See ya.